all bad. This has been all bad. All bad. Oh my gosh. So today we have a story, right? And I have these shirts. All right, look. Look, aren't they cute? Aren't they cute? They're cute. I know they're cute. I know. Okay, so today we have a story. Viewer discretion is advised. Please be warned. This story will contain graphic acts of violence against minors, sexual assault, kidnapping. Understand this is a very gruesome crime that we're going to go over. Actually, multiple crimes. This might end up being a two-parter. My first two-part story. The crimes are great. They're against multiple people, by multiple people. I believe a group. And I don't know. We're going to have to get into it. You'll understand when we get there, okay? If you want the shirts, criminalclaws.com. They are now available. If you follow me on IG, which is now criminal.claws, then you will have seen the... You will have seen the sneak peek. And this shirt says, "My claws are sharper." So, yeah. All right, so we're going to go over this story, and we are going to be doing a custom set of press-on nails. So, I sell custom press-ons. You can order whatever you like, and I can bring it to life, okay? The story where we are starting today is going to be in Michigan, and actually it's going to be in northern Michigan. And we're going to start out with a man by the name of Francis Sheldon. Now, this man is a 45-year-old oil consultant and investor. I always file my nail tips to make sure that the cuticle area is really, really smooth, and so that it thins it out enough when you do apply these, they look really natural, like you really went to a salon and got them done. And I really like the way my custom press-ons are done. It takes me a lot of time to get them done, but I think mine are very, very top-notch. The time that I spend on mine it just brings them up a level, and it really adds that look. So, I don't think they look big and bulky at all. The custom press-ons I make, I really believe that these are top-notch. I spend a lot of time making sure that I shape them and get them thin. So, all right, to the story. So we're going to start with Richard. No, we're not. We're starting with Francis Sheldon. He's a 45-year-old oil consultant, and he is a businessman. He's a millionaire. And he wants to buy an island. And he goes to this community in Michigan, northern Michigan, where North Fox Island is. And this island is owned by a widow. And the government, Michigan's federal government offers this widow $3,500 for this island. And Francis Sheldon offers her $20,000. $20,000. Guess whose offer she took? She took Francis Sheldon's offer. And now Francis Sheldon owned a island. Ooh. Okay. So this is 1970 that he buys this island, and he ends up starting this boys missionary. It's a boy camp. He wants to put it on the island for the benefit of underprivileged boys. And it's called Brother Paul's Missionary. And what it does is it's a camp for boys to kind of explore themselves. And so I just want to read to you what this mission is supposed to be about. So in the pamphlets that they end up finding from this mission is incorporated in 1975 by Francis Sheldon. This mission is supposed to be dedicated to the prevention of juvenile delinquency and operate through the philosophy of naturopathy and naturalism, described as a system of treating diseases by the use of herbs and physical manipulation. Courses at the Au Naturel mission or camp include hygiene and sex education. This man is not a teacher. He's not a teacher, and he was going around telling people from the community that he was a part of Big Brother. Later on, it was found out that he had no association with Big Brother. They was not claiming him. He had applied, but he had been denied. So Big Brother said, you know, later on when certain details came out, like, no, he's not a part of us. Got the wrong ones. So Francis Sheldon ends up starting this, and it's incorporated in 1975. Well, there's a teacher named Jerry Richards, and he knows Francis Sheldon. So Jerry Richards ends up becoming the gym teacher at a Lutheran school, a Catholic school in Port Huron, Michigan, and he ends up becoming their gym teacher. They lose their gym teacher, and he ends up teaching at their elementary school, and the students end up remembering, like, wondering and thinking, what is this guy here for? Their other teacher, you know, looked like a gym teacher at least. This guy did not look like a gym teacher. He was kind of scrawny and lanky, and, you know, he was different, a little different. And these guys, these kids, they remember, you know, there never have been in, before this, they had always taken showers after gym, and none of their teachers had ever come in the showers on them. But this Jerry Richards, he made his way into the boys' showers, and he would do the patting of the butt and the, you know, like the towel. So the boys are like thinking it's kind of weird, kind of odd, but okay, they're getting older. This is elementary school now. Maybe that's what the guys do. They pat each other on the butt. Good game, good job, whatever. These 11-year-old boys are willing to accept this is probably normal. Look how red my ears are. I get so nervous talking. I gotta remember to, like, breathe. Okay, So the boys are thinking that it's weird, but they're alright with it. Whatever, right? It's harmless. No harm, no foul. So Jerry Richards ends up going around to these children's parents' houses. And I think he chooses like 5 boys, and he goes around to their parents and he says, you know, like, ooh, good day. Your boys have done exceptionally well this year, and we would love to invite them to the Brother Paul's children's mission out on North Fox Island, owned by Francis Sheldon, a Big Brother person. And, you know, your boys have been invited, and these are underprivileged boys. They're going to a Catholic school, and these parents, you know, some of them are single parents, and they want their children to be afforded the same education, the same chances that these other more affluent children, you know, are able to do. They want their children to be in sports. They want their children to be going off to camp. And they can't afford it, but this man is offering their children to go to camp. And yes, why not? So Francis Sheldon ends up coming and picking these boys up in an airplane. And these boys had never been in an airplane before. So they were just ecstatic. This is like this once in a lifetime thing to these little 11 and 12-year-old boys. they're all excited. Like, yes, we're about to have like the time of our lives. So they end up going to this island and they land. And one of the first things out of, I don't know, I think it was Richard's, I think it was out of his mouth that, okay, time to get naked. Because that's what you do when you're on an island. That's what you do when you're on a beach. You get naked. And you can't be here unless, you know, you're naked. So the boys are like, oh, okay, that's what they do. All right, we're in on that. Like, bet. They got naked. They really believe that this is what they was, you know, this is what rich people on, I remember these are poor, these boys didn't know no damn better. So, Mr. Richards tells them, you know, get undressed and we'll go down to the beach and we will hang out and have fun. So the boys get undressed and they go down to the beach and Mr. Richards is like, hey, why don't you guys, you know, bury me in the sand? And Mr. Richards is naked himself. So the boys do. They end up burying him in the sand, and obviously, for obvious reasons, this was pretty much just a little ploy for them to touch him. And now the boys realize that, you know, this was just a way for him to get these boys to touch him. One of the boys ended up getting a sunburn, and Mr. Richards wanted to put sun lotion on the boy and, you know, help the little boy. So, and he would keep rubbing the sun lotion on this little boy, and it made the boy feel very uncomfortable. He knew this wasn't right, but he couldn't really go against an adult. And they're on this island by themselves. It's not like they can just call up their parents. It's just not possible. The boy knew it wasn't right, but he didn't really know it was all that wrong either. So he just went with it. So the time in the sand, though. So when Jerry Richards, the teacher, had the boys bury him in the sand, when he was buried, one of the boys ended up throwing a rock. They picked up a rock and they chucked it. And it just so happened they didn't aim for the area. But don't you know it landed there. And Jerry Richards was pissed. So Jerry Richards is pissed that this boy just hit him in the crotch. So he tells the boy, you know, go up to the cabins. You're not going to be down here no more. And the boy did. He went up to the cabins, and then he decided that he was just going to go off and do his own thing, because why not? Nobody was watching him, so he was just going to go off and explore. So he goes off and he goes exploring, and he ends up coming across this like tree trunk with a bunch of snakes in it. And he's like ecstatic. This was so cool to him. This is an 11-year-old little boy. And so he decides that he's going to go run and he's going to find one of his friends, and he wants his friend to come back and see this. He wants his friend to come back and see these snakes, and his friend's like, nope. Not coming back there, not seeing those snakes, don't care about those snakes. And he, you know, convinces his friend, like, hey, come on, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime thing, let's go look at these snakes. And so his friend's like, all right, bro, let's go look at them. So they go. And they hang out, they're looking at the snakes, cool, ooh, ah, they're done. They go back up to the camp, and nobody is anywhere to be found. And these boys are like, they left us. They left left us. All we did was just go, you know, all we did was just go look around. Like, why'd they leave us? So they go to the airstrip and they look, and the plane's still there. So the boys are like, oh, okay, they didn't leave us. Like, they're still here. They're somewhere. Like, we'll just go off and eat some snacks. So they go to the kitchen and they find some snacks and they're waiting and, you know, still nobody. So they go looking, they go cabin to cabin, and they're not finding anybody. But then, all of a sudden, they end up coming across a cabin where they hear noises inside. And so the noises that they heard inside really scared them, but they didn't know what to do. The door was locked, and it was from one of the boys that had been with them on the trip, and the boy was screaming and crying and begging for them to please just stop. Please stop. Don't. Please. It hurts. And these boys knew something was going on behind that door. Something that was not right. But they couldn't do anything about it. The door was locked. They didn't know who was behind that door with that boy. They didn't know anything. So they just went. They left. They just went off on their own. And the little boy never spoke the rest of the trip there. I don't know how long they was there, but the boy never spoke the rest of the trip. And the boys said, you know, that this little boy never really spoke much, but he had spoken some before that. And after this, nothing. So that's in 1975 on North Fox Island. That's what was going on up there between 1975 and for a couple years on. And we'll get there. We'll get there. But so all the while, you know, that started in 1975 with the Brother Paul's mission. All the while, going on, in 1976 in Oakland County, Michigan, which is a little bit further south of North Fox Island. It's more closer towards Detroit. There ends up going to be a spree of child murders that end up happening. And that's what we're about to get into. So, you know, at this point in time, everything is still going on North Fox Island. We're just going to go a little bit further south and talk about some events that happen parallel to these events on North Fox Island. So, February 15th, 1976, a little boy named Mark Stebbins, 12 years old, ends up calling his mother from the American Legion where he's doing dishes, and he tells her that he is about to head home. And he takes off and is not seen from again. His body was found 4 days later in a snowbank across from office buildings, in view of the public. His body, once after being autopsied, he had been missing for 4 days, and after being autopsied, they had come to the conclusion that he had been sexually assaulted with a foreign object, smothered to death, and during his captivity, he had been bound with ropes around his wrists and around his ankles. So Mark Stebbins' kidnapping, assault, and murder would end up being the beginning of one of the largest manhunts in U.S. history at that time. So Mark Stebbins went missing and nobody was prepared for what was to come. Now, he went missing in February of 1976. Jill Robinson of Royal Oak, Michigan, still in Oakland County, ends up getting into a fight with her mother and she takes off. And it's December 22nd, 1976. She takes off and she's mad. She's going to go to her dad's house. Well, we don't know if she ever made it to her dad's house, if she got there and decided to turn around and leave, if she never made it there. Nobody knows. Her mother didn't call the cops right away because she really thought her daughter was just mad. Now, this is December, a couple days before Christmas, and it's cold out. It's really cold. So, you know, she would have been wearing a jacket and a hood, wearing her hood up. She would have looked like a boy. I mean, a 12-year-old little girl is gonna be pretty similar to a boy. And at that time, she had a short haircut. So if somebody would have wanted to kidnap her and think that she, you know, kidnap her because she's a boy, it was totally possible. Now, the following day after her disappearance, after she stated that she was going to go to her dad's, her bicycle was found behind an abandoned building. And December 26th, the day after Christmas, her body was found in full view of the Troy Police Department. Now, this seemed to be you couldn't call it a connection at that point because Jill was a girl and she had been shot in the face with a 12-gauge shotgun. Her body still fully clothed. She was not sexually assaulted. Thank God. Thank God. She was still wearing the backpack that she had on when she left home. Everything was still intact for Jill. So they had no reason to believe that these cases were connected at this point. And they were kind of in different areas. Even though it was the same county, it was different areas. So Mark had been sexually assaulted and smothered, and Jill had been shot in the face with a 12-gauge shotgun. Now, her body had been found December 26th, the day after Christmas, and her family still had her Christmas presents under the tree and everything. They really thought she was coming home. So, January 2nd, another little girl goes missing by the name of Christine Mihalik, and she's only 10 years old, and it's still winter, so she would still be wearing a coat, and they state that she had just gotten a haircut, so the pictures that they put up for, you know, missing child wouldn't have really been accurate because she had a haircut. She was supposed to be at a 7-Eleven and getting ready to head home on her bicycle when she wasn't seen from again. It took 19 days to find her body. She was found by a mail carrier and she was fully clothed. She was not sexually assaulted. She had been wearing the clothes that she disappeared in. And the autopsy stated that it had been apparent that she had been smothered less than 24 hours prior to her body being dumped. Now, this is 3 children, the public. It's becoming apparent that somebody is out there, you know, a serial killer at least, killing these children. Now, and it's March 16th, 1977. Timothy King is with his sister and he wants some candy. His sister is getting ready to go to a, not David Bowie, but Jerry Lee Lewis, a Jerry Lee Lewis concert. And his parents are out to dinner with a business partner. And so Timothy was told, if anybody was to pick you up, don't go with them. Don't go with them. And you run, you scream, you go as far as possible. Well, Timothy ends up leaving. His sister gives him some money for some candy. Timothy is only 11 years old. So he goes to the store and ends up failing to return home. Now, the parents don't call the police right away. They wait until their daughter gets back from the concert because they figure his older brother went out looking for him, and to no luck. And they kind of figured, well, maybe his older sister knows where he's at. So they wait until his older sister ends up coming home, and she didn't know anything. So finally at 11 o'clock at night, after a couple hours of him already being gone, his parents finally call the police. And it is March 16th, he is reported missing, and March 22nd is when his body is found right in view of a convenience store in a snowbank. Right away, the autopsy came back that he had been sexually assaulted and smothered. Sexually assaulted with a foreign object. So, Timothy King, during the time he was missing, actually wrote the newspaper a letter, you know, hoping that if her son got to see it or read it or anything else that, you know, that she just wanted to tell him that she loved him and that she was waiting for him, and as soon as he got home, she would prepare his meal, his favorite meal of chicken, and, you know, everything was ready and waiting on him for when he got home. When they found Timothy's body and they tested his stomach contents, they found out that his last meal was chicken. And his mother said in the newspaper, you know, that something about clothes, or I don't know. But the killer actually ended up putting a new outfit on Timothy, which is a whole new type of way to torture a family, to let them know that, you know, I don't know, maybe he showed it to Tim. I mean, I'm assuming it's a man that did this, I know. But maybe he was nice enough to let Timothy see that, you know, like, look, I don't know. I don't see how it would be a good thing, but, and his family, you know, stressed to this little boy that, you know, what was going on. And if anybody tried to talk to him that he did not know, to run and scream. And that's what makes them believe that this had to have been somebody that was dressed up as a priest or a cop, or, you know, and it had to be somebody that these children trusted. Because after the first child came up missing and parents were telling their children, you know, watch what you're doing, watch who you're talking to, be careful. Like, these children knew better. And for them to for them to have went with somebody after all of this going on is just nuts. It's nuts. Now, we're going to go back up to North Fox Island. July 1977, Jerry Richards is raided and arrested on a warrant for sexually assaulting an 8-year-old little boy. When they raid his home, they end up finding pornographic material, and they recognize some of the actors on the videotape. But instead of setting a warrant out for Frank Sheldon, because it was the pornographic material from North Fox Island when they was taking the little boys up there and doing what they did to them, the police thought, I don't know. This is the part that really gets me frustrated, because in Michigan at the time, you had to act on whatever evidence you had within 24 hours or 48 hours of getting the evidence. And when they arrested Jerry Richards, they didn't go through the pornographic tapes right away. And then by the time that everything was figured out and that Frank Sheldon had been a part of this pornographic ring, with these little boys, it had been over that time. So they couldn't issue a arrest warrant or a search warrant, whatever it was. So by the time they end up being able to do that, they go to Frank Sheldon's Ann Arbor home and they want to arrest him, and he is gone. Now, Jerry Richards ends up going to jail, and he ends up being charged with homosexual purposes against the 8-year-old little boy. A boy spoke out against him. During the raid of his home, though, in the pornographic evidence that they ended up finding, they ended up actually noticing 2 other actors. It ended up causing a raid at a Tennessee's boy camp. Is a boys' farm in Tennessee, where they had actually been farming boys for pornographic materials. Just kind of like North Fox Island, where they were getting boys from orphanages, from wherever. They had nobody, and they were getting to be able to take advantage of them. And it wasn't the only one. In Louisiana, they ended up raiding a Eagle Scouts, and it ended up being a domino effect. A priest was involved. There were several affluent people involved. Ended up getting arrested. It ended up being a worldwide thing, and we'll get into that. But for the time being, it's July of 77, and where is Francis Sheldon? Jerry Richards is in jail for what he's done, but Francis Sheldon is nowhere to be found. Okay. As the investigation and what happened to Francis Sheldon, we will save for part 2. Because it has a lot of twists and turns in this story. Over this past almost 30 years, this investigation is still going on to this day, and it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, and it's a lot of different names, and I didn't want to confuse anybody, so we're going to do a part 2. Alright guys, tell me what you guys thought. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you feel. Let's talk about it, because it drives me nuts. It's one thing to watch a video, and I end up thinking when I see this, like, oh my god, I gotta tell these guys about it. And then I get into the research and I just get super depressed. And when it's stories like this, that's why it takes weeks to get the video up, because it's just so exhausting. I can only listen to so much of things like this before I have to turn it off. It's not like a normal research. A a lot of crimes I can research, and I can research them for days. Crimes like this, I cannot research for days. I can't do it. I can do it for an hour, and it's gotta go. It's gotta go. I gotta like think of happy thoughts because I just get so depressed. So I'm really sorry. I don't mean to keep you guys waiting, but when it's things like this and it's so many stories in one also, you know, it was hard to get it to come together. So, but part 2 will be up soon. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget about the shirts. They're so cute. I love these shirts. So, love you. Like so lost as to what like I'm doing right now. I'm just gonna like do a black nail. A black nail. That'll work. I'll figure out something to go on it. I don't know. I don't know. So look at what I came up with. I like it. I think this is like super freaking cute. Look at them. We're gonna apply these. Why not? And finish the story.